chambers in regular session. It's nice to have things somewhat back to normal. We're still going to have an issue with the public, obviously. We've got to control that. But hopefully soon we can get them back here. I mean, obviously the reason the public's not here is social distancing, and John can explain that as well as anybody. Social distancing and all the other issues that come with a space.
So you'll notice, especially those that aren't in their normal seats, that we had to do a little changing in configuration to modify the seating. Try to leave the middle row open. Yes, sir?
Why don't you put a short person in front of me? Can't see over
We
it.
could have done that.
My staff has politely asked if we could bring our microphones closer because we're having a little difficulty picking up the audio when we do the transcribe the minutes, so I appreciate that. And Chairman, we're all set to
Are
go.
we good to go? All right, then I will call the meeting to order at 5:15. And if you'll all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, thank you all very much for joining us. Mr. Zerwell, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Mr. Castine.
Present.
Mr. Conroy. Here. Mr. Hall. Here. Mr. Henry.
Here.
Mr. McGill.
Here.
Mr. Courier.
Here.
Mr. Potiker.
Here.
Mr. Rosenquist. Present. Mr. Timmons.
Here.
Ms. Waldron.
Here.
All present and accounted for?
Yes, sir. You have a forum.
Excellent. All legislators have received a copy of the minutes for the August 12th, 2020 regular session. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. May I have a motion? I have a motion for Mr. Hall. I have a second for Mr. Rosenquist. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? If we do have some folks in the audience here who wish to share their thoughts or concerns with the legislature, please raise your hand if you wish to be recognized. State your name and address for the record, please. And in accordance with the rules and orders, all speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Is there anybody that wishes to speak? No, 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 and no. Mr. Canosa, you get your chance. Sir. We will now go to the committee reports. Each legislator chairs one of the 10 standing committees, and I will call on the chairperson of each committee in alphabetical order by committee, starting with Buildings and Grounds. Mr. Perrier.
Building grounds out of that. So I'll have the next meeting scheduled for
Monday the 14th.
Monday the 14th.
Yep. 4:30. That's the end of the report.
End of my report.
Darn fine job. Children and Family Services, Legislator Proctor.
Thank you, Chairman. The Children and Family Services Committee has not met since the last regular session. The meeting scheduled for Tuesday, September 1st, has been canceled. End of report.
Thank you. Economic Development and County Operations, Legislator Rosenquist.
Yes, sir. The Economic Development and County Operations Committee has not met since our last regular session. We did have a couple people that came out to view the dam last Friday. The next Economic Development and County Operations Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, September 8th at 5 p.m. and report.
Thank you. Finance, Legislator Timmons.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee was pulled on Resolution 484 on August 21st. The next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, September 2nd at 5:15 p.m. Representatives from the North Country Chamber of Commerce will be presenting its 2021 marketing plan. There's actually a copy of that in the legislative office if anybody wants to take a look at it. And Ray Pasquale, President of Clinton Community College, will be presenting the college's 2021 budget request as well.
So you'll all get a pared down version of the the Chamber of Commerce marketing plan. What Legislator Timmons is referring to was the massive binder that so if you'd like to work on your cardio, you can certainly go through the binder. It's next to Melody's desk. Feel free to take it home with you, or we can set you up in the office if you want to take a peek at the marketing plan. In total, you will get obviously fully briefed on its contents next Wednesday.
Thank you. Health, Legislator Waldron.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Health Committee has not met since the last regular session. The next Health Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, September 1st at 4:30 p.m. Although we do have Mr. Canoza here to give us a brief update.
Thank you, Patty, much appreciated. Brief update for today. I always try to give you the numbers first, and I'm happy to tell you all that we've been at 148 total cases since Saturday. We had 3 new cases on Saturday since then, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and today. No additional new cases, and that's a good thing. That is, be happy for that. Every day that goes by that we have this is good. So we're sitting on 2 active cases in isolation right now. 119 probable cases with 117 of them recovered. Total tested in Clinton County to date is 24,904. We're closing in on about what's equal to about half of our population in total testing. So the hospital's doing stellar work, along with Hudson Headwaters and all the other medical care providers as well. Our contact tracing team has returned from the IM building, the boardroom, where they were housed up there, pretty much in seclusion, doing their contact tracing work. They've returned to the health department, and they're doing stellar work as usual. 7 ladies working hard. SUNY Plattsburgh, as you may have heard today, there was an announcement, press release. I heard it first from Mike and then Ken Pinelli, that the students who were involved in that little party over there at Sailors Beach were being disciplined. They're looking at suspension for these students, so I don't know the extent of that, but I think it sends a powerful message out there to our community as well as the college kids that they mean business. So good to hear, very good to hear. So I think the whole thing with SUNY Plattsburgh wrestling with this matter, they were nervous about this before, way before it started, and now they've taken the bull by the horns. That's the way I like to look at it. So their safety plan is stellar and has just been supplemented by the addition of what they call pool testing. 10 to 15 students provide saliva samples for pool testing. 1 sample of those, if that comes back clean, those 10 to 15 people are done. But if it comes back hot, they can take an aliquot of the saliva sample and send it in for PCR testing and find out which of those 10 to 15 students has a COVID. So it's a quick way to do it, a screening method, and I think it's going to make their safety plan not go from good to great. It's really going to help them a lot. And I think the community, all communities are pushing for colleges to do more in terms of testing. So that's what they're looking at doing. SUNY police as well as the city police are working with our sheriff, our liaison from the incident command system structure that we have now, Major Nick Leon, and he's meeting with them regularly. They did meet right after that party over the weekend, so he's talking to them about what enforcement they were doing, of course, and any future parties that we do have. Speaking of colleges, Clinton Community College, Ray DiPasquale reached out to me for any nursing help that I could find, and we do have 1 MRC nurse that's going to help him with some openings. So he was getting a lot of pressure up at Clinton Community College to provide some sort of screening, temperature screening and survey screening for the students that will be on campus going to class, which is a small minority. Most of their work will be done online, remote learning. So, and finally, the next big hurdle we've got, everything we do is a new hurdle, new challenge, new hurdle. The next one is K through 12 starting up. So the schools are working hard. They're literally going out of their minds trying to do everything they can to make their schools maximum safe, because they also, like us, legislators, health department, we all have our pressers. People that are pressing us, they have the parents pushing them real hard. So it'll be our next big hurdle, but I think we'll get through it. I think we'll be all right. In summary, we've been hanging out 148 total tested positive in Clinton County since Saturday, and that's a good number to remember. So I go to bed with things like that in my mind. Allows me to go to bed, So, any questions? Sure.
John, You said the 25, almost 25,000 was approaching half the population, but a lot of those 25,000 is repeat.
Yeah, I call it equitable. It's equal to a relative number that I would call half the population,
Do
so
we
it's a
know-
good number.
Do
It's
we
a big
know
number.
how many different people have actually been tested?
That have been,
Different people.
different people, it's probably closer to a third of our total population, about 20,000, so you could probably say about 5.
Well, just to be clear, I
Yeah.
just wanted percentages to reflect the number. There's 82,000 population.
Correct, correct.
Does that include Denimore? Denimore include?
Right, the prison,
Yeah.
the prison is not included in the population.
Ah,
I always thought they were.
Yeah, I did too. So, just using for relative terms
Maybe
comparing to
prison,
that.
yes, college, no. Let me verify that. But there's one that is a yes and one that is a no.
Okay. I think Chris
Which
knows.
will be, we certainly will have to get that answered as we embark, plug for the census. If you've not done your online, please do it. And if someone comes to your door because you haven't filed online, please answer their questions. There's a whole bunch of national and state funding streams that are determined by the census. The one that affects you most is the county legislature will be redistricting next year after the census is completed. So to your point, Legislator Castine, those are important numbers that we know in our circle.
We actually had already done ours online, but yet they sent somebody out to our house, and it's not by address, it's by coordinates. So odd that we had done it, but yet they sent somebody else, so hopefully the system is.
If you answer twice, that's better for us. That was a joke. But yes, it is important.
Hopefully the system's working better than that.
Yes, and as you folks passed 3 resolutions last meeting, I believe. Those resolutions allowed contracts with 3 partners in the community to get that message out. So there is a last push to get to maximize our census turnout. So that has nothing to do with public health. I apologize, John.
No problem,
You
Mike.
keep going.
You're on a roll. That was good. Yeah. Anybody have any other questions? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Patty, is that it for you as well?
Yes, that is it. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Human Services, Legislator Conrad.
Yes, the Human Services Committee was polled on resolution 485, which is on today's agenda, and the meeting scheduled for Wednesday, September 2nd, has been canceled on September 4th.
Excellent, thank you. Personnel, I will handle that. The personnel, the next Personnel Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, September 3rd at 4 p.m. Plattsburgh International Airport.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Plattsburgh International Airport Committee met earlier this afternoon. Resolutions 489, 491, and 492 have been placed on tonight's agenda. Resolution 490 has been withdrawn. Chris Craig, the airport director, provided updates on airlines and tenants, and our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, September 23rd at 4 p.m. And the report.
Thank you, sir. Public Safety, Legislator Castine.
The Public Safety Committee discussed resolutions number 486 at its meeting of August 5th, 2020. And the committee was polled on resolutions 487 and 488 on Friday, August 21st. The next Public Safety Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, September 3rd at 5 p.m. End of the report.
Thank you, sir. Transportation, Legislator McGill.
The Transportation Committee has not met since the last regular session. The next Transportation Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Monday, September 14th at 5:15. End of report.
Thank you very much. Liaison reports, we'll run through those quickly. Board of Health, I'll have that. On August 17th at 7 o'clock, we had our Board of Health meeting. It was a budget meeting and a regular meeting combined. We reviewed the budget. The budget will be coming to us, Mr. Zerlo and us, for review shortly. They worked very hard on it, and I think it was a good budget, but we'll see when it gets here. The next Board of Health meeting is September 21st at 7 p.m. Chamber of Commerce, Legislative Rosenfeld.
Yes, the Chamber of Commerce will be presenting to the Finance Committee their 2020 marketing plan and report.
Well, I got you right here. Your next one is Workforce Development. You want to do that?
Our next meeting is not until the 11th of September, so.
Community Service Support, Legislator Conroy, no report. Cooperative Extension, Legislator Timmons.
Yes, we've been working on a budget, planning on a 20% decrease from county appropriations, which is going to put us about a $50,000 deficit. Just got word today that basically 20% decrease probably in the 224 funding from the state as well. So obviously we're definitely starting to see where it's going to be an issue for these agencies down the road. And Mary's working hard to get other contracts to try to plug those holes, and hopefully she's going to come up with a couple more.
Thank you. Anything else?
Just to be clear, I've made no decisions what I'm going to recommend to the legislature about the contract agencies. When Rob reached out to me, I said the worst case scenario would be that, so, that could change. I don't want to make any, of course, at the end of the day, the decision rests with the 10 of you, but, that number's not set in stone. That is, based on anecdotally the 20% that the state is reducing our state aid by, so that's what I.
Yeah, I just said, I said to err on the side of caution. We're putting the budget together, and that's where we're at right now, and, we'll have to fine tune and cut, that's where we're working towards.
Thank you, Rob. Discipline review agreements, we have nothing, right, Kim? There's nothing there. Inter-county Legislator Walter.
No report.
Thank you. LC&LG Legislator Walter.
No report.
Soil and Water, Legislator Perry or Timmons.
Our meeting from last week is getting moved to tomorrow night, so
Okay, that'll go for liaison reports.
Clinton?
Staff reports.
Sir.
Jackie?
Sir.
Chairman?
Oh, what other, I'm sorry.
Clinton Community College.
Community College.
Oh, did I skip that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Can't skip them. Their
It
board
was not
meeting-
intentional.
You might want to. Their board meeting happened last night. They are going to present their budget. They are putting together their budget. They had their finance meeting this morning. And, as everybody knows, their enrollment's down, FTEs are down, and, but the building's coming along nicely. But, they'll be here for finance to present their budget.
So, yes, and just so you all know, and thank you, Chris, you'll see an article in the paper outlining what the Community College Board of Trustees did. And just don't be alarmed, that still, as Chris points out, that board, the president still will be here. It still needs local sponsor approval, and that rests with you. I can tell you, and the president said it's obviously not a secret, their ask of us remains the same as it did last year.
Okay. Any questions on that? Yes, sir.
Since you asked that question, how much is their enrollment now?
I don't know. That'll all be presented.
I know, but
I think they said they're down, don't hold me to this, I think they said they're down 180 from last year.
there was 6 something last year.
Yeah, so they're probably in the 4s.
So that includes, I believe they said 70-something FTEs.
That'll be discussed at length.
I wouldn't have asked that, except you said they asked for the same amount.
Well, they could have asked for a lot more, but I don't think we could have given it to them, so.
Anything else on that? Thank you, Chris, I apologize.
Yeah, thank you.
Jackie?
Yep, Chairman, I just want to point out that.
You're not gonna let me get there.
That Jackie's place in the chamber today is not reflective of her
We
legal.
put her in a corner.
She's still a very good attorney. We just had to move her tonight.
I could give you some practical advice, so you put Mr. Hall in that.
That's right. That's what- yeah. Go ahead and do it, you'll be fine, he said.
I have no report today.
No report, thank you, Jackie. Mr. Zerlo.
Just very quickly, you heard it from Mr. Craig at the airport committee. You heard it from the chairman with respect to the health department. Budgets are slowly coming in. The due date is September 2nd, 4th. But, you know, not many, some have beat the deadline and have them in. I have my first scheduled meeting with the department head tomorrow afternoon. Listen, this is going to be a horrendous year, as I told you before. Just based on what I've seen so far, I think my message, Kim's message that we gave during the budget session, I think it is filtered through. I think everybody gets it. I think everybody is committed to doing the best job possible. I will tell you, ironically, that when the departments do this, like I asked them to do, is not going to afford me the ability of doing as much as I did once they get to me. So I can't have it both ways, although I would like to. So I just want to just again say that I think your department heads are invested in a solution to get us through this mess. It's not going to be an easy one. There's going to be some tough decisions that are going to be in front of you. You know, we're just hoping to minimize them. You know, we'll continue to monitor sales tax. I have a meeting tomorrow with Becky Murphy in the Treasurer's office. We're trying to come up with estimates so that we can field questions from the towns as they prepare their budgets on what we think the number may be. But you know, as much statistics as we look at, we don't have a perfect model. That, you know, we've never had a pandemic to look back on and realize how much it affected our sales tax revenue. But it'll be reported next week at finance. But my early numbers are that we've gone down again. We are about 1.3 million below where we were for 2019. That being said, we did not budget 2019 receipts in 2020. So we still are treading water. We won't be above water at year's end, but we remain slightly above water to budget. So we're holding off the inevitable, as the treasurer reported last finance meeting. We were fortunate that we started off 2020 at such a robust pace that provided us a little cushion as we see reduction each month now.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Mike, since you brought up the towns, we all know that they've been pressuring you to give them some figures so they can work on their budgets. How soon do you anticipate you can guesstimate?
Yep. Like I said, tomorrow I'm meeting with the treasurer's office and coming up with at least some goalposts. You know, whether, you know, a percent reduction and then you know, we can figure out what that would yield to a township. So the answer to your question is very soon. Probably early next week, treasurer will be prepared to let the townships know.
Somewhere around Liberty then?
Yes. You know, just like our numbers are going to be, they won't have a wonderful confidence level associated with them, but they'll be our best projections on what we can come up with. Chairman, the last thing I have is I'm going to ask for an executive session this evening, a short one, to get advice of counsel on a personnel matter.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I don't have anything for this evening. John covered it very well. We'll go to the resolutions. Before voting on the resolutions, I want to note that the majority of the resolutions have been thoroughly discussed by the appropriate committees, and the legislature is taking action tonight based in large part on the recommendation of those committees. Mr. Zerlo, will you please read the titles of the resolutions to be acted upon?
Certainly. Resolution 484, authorizing the county treasurer to establish a bank account, treasurer's office.
Motion, Mr. Timmons, second, legislator Waldron. Discussion?
Yep.
What-
What are we doing now with this money?
When the new coroner came on board, a strict reading of that section of the county law indicated that this is what we should be doing with this money. To be honest with you, we can't recall a case in which this had to happen, but we need to get it in place in case it happens.
Okay, so if we have these funds or property, we'll be making an effort to contact the
Correct.
family, because we all see these lost funds in the newspaper, old accounts and stuff that people have money coming to.
Yes, there is a whole process by which a lot of these, a lot of these funds would be put in this repository to prevent, when someone passes away, there may be a couple family members who may have different designs on the money. So this puts in place the money that is found on the deceased.
Or property.
Or property, so.
Lots or whatever.
Correct. So, the answer to your question is we've not done it before. Yeah.
I did talk to Mr. Deans about this, and his concern was not a person that had $20 in their wallet, but someone who had a large amount of cash on them, and he did not want to have to keep that in his own possession while things were sorted out, and this is what the county law provides for.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 485, authorizing civil monetary penalty reimbursement funds grant application and acceptance nursing home.
Motion, legislator Conroy, second, legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 486, authorizing contract with Black Creek Integrated Systems Corporation Incorporated, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, legislator Timmons, second, legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
This is the same issue that upon, we decided to pay this all in one lump shot and save the interest cost. That's what you guys decided, so. Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 47, amending Resolution 711, dated September 11, 2019, titled, authorizing various contracts for the year 2020, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Hall. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 488, authorizing contract with Clinton Community College, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator McGill. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 489, amending Resolution 1054, dated December 23, 2019, titled, authorizing various contracts for the year 2020, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Hall, second, legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 490 has been withdrawn. Resolution 491, authorizing contract amendment with Johnson Controls Fire Protection, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Hall, second, legislator Potiker. Discussion. Roll call.
Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 492, authorizing lease amendment with Stratton Aviation LLC, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Hall, second, legislator Timmons. Discussion. Roll call.
Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 493, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for Adirondack Foundation Grant, District Attorney's Office Child Advocacy Center.
Motion legislator Timmons, second legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 494, authorizing county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Child Advocacy Center Grant, District Attorney's Office.
Motion legislator Timmons, second legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 495, authorizing the county treasurer to adjust appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Healthy Neighborhoods Initiative Grant, Health Department.
Motion legislator Timmons, second legislator Waldron. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 496, authorizing the county treasurer to establish revenue for the Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security CARES Act funding for the Clinton County Public Transit Program planning.
Motion legislator Timmons, second legislator Rosenquist. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 497, authorizing the county treasurer to increase appropriation and corresponding revenue for Clinton County Public Transit Program planning.
Motion legislator Timmons, second legislator Rosenquist. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 498, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Community-Based Traffic Safety Program Grant, Sheriff's Department.
Motion legislator Timmons, second legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 500, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for Police Services Grant, Sheriff's Department.
Make sure it's 400, not 499.
No, it's, you missed one. 499.
Is it 499?
Listen, if you folks are gonna correct me,
No,
you're right.
I am right. Say that again. I don't think Kelly did.
Resolution 499, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Child Passenger Safety Grant, Sheriff's Department.
Say it right again.
You're right, Chairman.
Thank you. Motion legislator Timmons, second legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call, sir.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
And Resolution 500, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Police Services Grant, Sheriff's Department.
Motion legislator Timmons, second legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. That will do it for that. Okay, executive session, right?
Correct.
Does anyone else have anything further to come before the legislature? Then I'd like to entertain a motion for executive session to discuss personnel matters. Have a motion by legislator Hall, second by legislator McGill. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're going into legislature executive session. All of those not in executive session are asked to please leave. And thank you for attending. We're out of executive session. I'd like to take a motion, have a motion to waive Rule 13.2. So motion by legislator McGill, second by legislator Timmons. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Chairman, Resolution 501, authorizing memorandum of agreement by and between the County of Clinton and the Civil Service Employees Association Incorporated Local 1000, AFSCME, AFL-CIO, Clinton County Units 6450 and 6466 of Local 884, Legislature.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion?
I have a motion by legislator Waldron, second by legislator Hall. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else to come before us?
I got something. I believe everybody got an email from Bill Chase about having a meeting between the legislators and town supervisors. He gave me a call tonight, and I told him I'd bring it up. So I'm bringing it up, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Zorlo to explain it, because he seems to know more about it than I do.
Well, whether Mr. Zerlo would be happy to explain it or not, I certainly would.
I can tell you this, the original email, the kindly, lightly worded email from the good supervisor of the town of Beacontown requested this meeting.
Supervisor for the town of Dannemora.
What did I say?
Beacontown.
Oh,
Dannemora.
Dannemora, sorry. Mr. Henry, Chairman Henry thought that the best way to do this would be at a Town Supervisors Association meeting, and that we would make ourselves available to go to that meeting. It went back and forth and was decided that we should do a Zoom meeting, and that we would set up the Zoom here in Clinton County, but needed a date from the town supervisor. So Supervisor Cashman, the head of that association, made phone calls to each town and village in the city of Plattsburgh and did not get a rousing response. So at this point, I stand at the ready to set up a Zoom meeting, but I've got no date to send it up. So with all due respect to the supervisor of the town of Dannemora, the roadblock is not with Clinton County at this point. So,
I've spoken to Mike Cashman several times on this issue. And Mike has volunteered to ramrod that and get everybody up. As Mike said, there was only 3 or 4 that came back that wanted to do it. And we sent an email out to everybody saying that there's only 3 or 4, couldn't come up with a date and time. Anybody that wants to call us and talk to us about this, get further information, Michael's always available, I'm available, we're both available, we could do that. So that went back out to all the town supervisors, so they know they can call. The second thing is, Mike Cashman, Supervisor Cashman said that he would go out at a later date and see if, and send it all out again, and see if the town supervisors still wanted to do this. So, as we say, the ball is in their court.
In fairness to Bill, Bill is like, he's the one guy who really wants the meeting, so he continues to ask the question. Well, he's one of, 14 towns, 3
Plus, he can
villages.
have a meeting with us whenever he'd like, pretty much.
But he will not have the audience to embarrass people if he does it one-on-one.
Well,
Let's hear it again.
Isn't that, somebody said Supervisors Association, isn't that their bag? I mean, wouldn't they be the ones to make that decision?
As far as setting up the meeting and all?
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
they meet
if he wants the meeting, if they pass a resolution or whatever.
That's an informal group, Pat. It's an
Yeah,
informal.
it's not-
Oh, it is, oh, I thought.
It's not,
okay.
it's just the supervisors get together monthly and discuss issues. We have been on the docket to this, several times over the years. But,
They have not had a meeting since January.
but if Supervisor Cashman emails me tomorrow at 9 a.m. and says we would like the meeting September 5th, we'll post the meeting.
Everybody good? Up to speed? So, we're just waiting to initially, too, to be fair, just to round it all out, the first email we received on this is they wanted to meet with every legislator, every single legislator. We all got that. And it was like, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It just did not. Plus it would be, now we've got 14 town supervisors, we've got the village and that, we've got all of you to try to get everybody together. It was just no way that was gonna happen. And you all have businesses and jobs and things as well, as did the town supervisor. So we thought this was a much better way to go, as did several others. Yes, sir.
I think part of that thread, I'm sorry, I think part of that thread, just as a piece of clarification for all of the legislators as well, was some claim that this legislature made some unilateral decision on raising the full assessment service rate, which was not the case. Martine called each and every supervisor that leverages that service to engage with them, to talk to them about increasing that rate. And she heard from maybe one or two people, and she did that at the direction of the Economic Development and County Operations Committee. And she did that work, and based on her feedback and the return, it was satisfactory, or it satisfied the committee's request for her to do that, and those rates were raised accordingly. So I think that was part of that same thread.
You know, they are going through, they're putting their budgets together too.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's a difficult time, but I'm telling you guys, you hear me whine a little bit, but, you know, we as a county, we can't absorb everybody else's pain here. That's not that cannot be our role. Because at the end of the day, you raise taxes too.
Legislator Miguel.
I suspect there's been some communication back and forth, but maybe there should be a letter to each supervisor saying, this issue's been come up. We're open for a meeting, let us know.
We have done it.
That's done.
I suspect.
Well, we didn't send it. The Michael Cashman, on behalf of everybody, said that.
He did. Michael's done a good job. I've talked to Michael several times on this issue, about how to put it together and do everything else. So all they gotta do is come. And if they can't get together 3 or 4 or 5 of them, or all of them for that matter, if they wanna come 2 at a time, 1 at a time, we're prepared to talk to them.
That's why counties were.
Also, I pointed out to them, just so you all know, that each of these supervisors have their own legislator. And there's nothing to prevent them from calling their legislator and asking these questions. But if they don't wish to do that, then they can certainly, oh, here, we're open for business. Yes, sir.
I may have missed it, but I didn't get the impression that anything about the increase with the assessment was initiated that letter, but I may have missed that.
It was embedded in Mr. Chase's
Yes,
original.
yes. Very first one.
So after our last meeting, I attended the town board meeting in Champlain, and I explained to them that all we're doing as far as that, the assessment cost is passing on our cost. We're not
making any money.
making any profit on it, it's our cost, so I explained that to them.
That's right.
They seem happy with it, but they do want to know
Sales
sales tax wise, so we've got to be able to give them that information.
I think it's
That's
safe to
major.
say by Labor Day that they should.
So are we gonna contact them? They're gonna
The
have-
Treasurer's office makes those calls to every supervisor and or town clerk or whoever's putting the.
When I was a town supervisor, I got those. They would call, as soon as they had them, they would call.
So that'll be solved, I mean, that basically, you know, having us all together or having them all together isn't gonna change anything. And as long as they get that information, that's all that really
Yes, sir.
matters.
Yep.
I mean, are we,
It's not a secret.
normally we're giving, I told Becky Murphy today, normally when we give this, we're deciding on how much more money we're giving them. It's a little uneasy this year because we're deciding on a percentage decrease to get them. And quite frankly, we don't want to screw up.
Yeah, they want to
You screw up by telling them they're gonna get X, and we're conservative, and they get X plus, that's a good day.
Yeah,
If we tell them it's short,
they're gonna get 100 and they get 90.
whoa, that's a bad day.
Still a lot of variables that could change that, so. It's a guess.
It's gonna be a challenge. We all know that.
That's all we can do.
Anything else? Anything else? Going once, going twice. Motion to adjourn.
I move.
Legislator McGill, he beat you to it. Seconded by Legislator Perrier. We are adjourned.
Can I move that, Brady?